Hello, I'm Capel English with Plinker Systems, and today we're out at the range and we're going to be talking about using the dual pneumatic target system for square range drills. As you're probably aware, a square range drill is where you have individual students lined up in front of their own target, and so you may have 10 or 12 on the line. Today we've got 3 target systems sitting out here, and you can imagine that there's one officer standing in front of each one. And so we're just going to talk about some of the different ways that we can present the targets to the officers in order to make them consciously recognize a threat before engaging the target. And this is known as judgmental shooting or judgmental use of force. So the first scenario we're going to look at here is all 3 targets doing exactly the same thing. So I've got my remote here. If I press the button, then we can see that all threats and non-threats show up, and then the non-threat disappears and a threat target appears. So let's take a look at that again. Both targets pop up, a threat and a non-threat. A few seconds later, the non-threat disappears, and it's like the threat or the non-threat pulled a gun. And so obviously the idea is that the officer does not engage the target unless he can identify the threat. Now, we can also activate these individually. So we can do them one at a time or all simultaneously. So there are a number of different ways that we can set these targets up to challenge the officers to really identify the threat versus the non-threat, and obviously we don't want them to engage the non-threat targets. So I'm going to step back and load up a different timeline, and we'll see what that looks like here in just a moment. Okay, here's another timeline we've got set up, and again, if I activate all of the targets at one time, notice that we've got non-threat targets all the way across. After a few seconds, the 2 outside targets and non-threats go away, and it becomes a threat target. Let's look at it again. Notice how the center target never gets presented with a threat. And again, just like before, we can activate them individually. So I could do number 3, number 1, then number 2, in any order. So again, it's just another way that we could set up these targets and the timelines associated with it. We've got one more slight variation, so let me set that up and we'll shoot that clip next. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, here we are. This is our third look at the square range drills, and this is similar to the others. The timing is just set up a little bit differently on the computer. So if I run them all at the same time, notice we have 3 non-threats, and then non-threat goes away. This guy becomes a threat, and then now we get 2 threats pop up over here on the right-hand side. So again, a lot of different ways that you can configure this. I can run them individually, so I could run number 1, and then number 3, and then number 2. And so now each individual target is doing the same thing, but the timing is different based on when I press the buttons to activate that particular target. So again, this just goes to show how we can use the dual pneumatic target systems in a square range environment for teaching the judgmental use of force or judgmental shooting. And that is, the officer must identify the threat before engaging the target. And this eliminates the problem of sympathetic fire. And if you're not familiar, sympathetic fire is when all of the targets are turning exactly the same, then one officer may shoot simply because they hear the person next to them shoot. And this will completely eliminate that, because if they do that, then they're in trouble. They're obviously not identifying the target before engaging it. And so we hope that you enjoy these videos. We certainly enjoy making them. And if you do, please subscribe. And in the comments below, let us know if there's other videos that you would like to see. We'll be happy to see if we can't try and make those videos for you. Again, thanks for watching, and Hopefully you'll enjoy these videos in the future.